Hi everyone! Tonight we're going to be looking at multiplying decimals. Our objective today is you will be introduced to multiplying with decimals, or if you've already learned how to do it, it will be a reinforcement lesson. You will watch a video, practice calculating some problems, and you will be taking a quiz. When multiplying decimals, you just follow these simple steps. You multiply normally, ignoring the decimal points. Just pretend they're not even there. Then put the decimal point in the answer, and it will have as many decimal places as the two original numbers combined. And you may be like, what is she talking about? Well, we'll look at it a little bit more carefully, so just hang on. I'm going to turn it over to a YouTube video for Khan Academy that explains how to multiply decimals. So just really sit back and concentrate while you're watching this.
We're asked to multiply 32.12 or 32 and 12/100ths times 0.5 or just 5/10. Now when you multiply decimals, you multiply them the exact same way you would multiply whole numbers, and then you count the number of spaces behind the decimal you have in your two numbers you're multiplying, and you're going to have that many spaces in your product. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's just multiply these two characters. So we have 32.12 times 0.5. And when you write them out, you can just push both of them all the way to the right. You can almost ignore the decimal. Right now, you should write the decimal where they belong, but you can almost pretend that this is 3,212 times 5, and then we'll worry about the decimals in a second. So let's get started. So if we were just multiplying 5 times 3,212, we would say, well, 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup the 1. And then finally you have 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. And then we don't have any other places. This 0 really isn't, if we were just doing this as 0,5, we wouldn't multiply 0 times this whole thing, we'd just get 0 anyway. So just 5 times 3,212 gives us this number, but now we want to care about the decimals. We just have to count the total number of spaces or places we have behind the decimal points in the two numbers we're multiplying. So we have 1, 2, 3 spaces or 3 numbers to the right of the decimals in the two numbers that we're multiplying. So we need that many numbers to the right of the decimal in our answer. So we go 1, 2, 3, put the decimal right over there. So 32.12 times 0.5 is 16.060. And this trailing 0 right here we can ignore because it's really not adding any information there. So we can just write this as 16.06. Now the last thing you want to do is just kind of make sure that this makes sense. You have a number that's almost 32, and we're multiplying it by 0.5. Remember, 0.5 is the same thing as 5 over 10, which is the same thing as 1/2. So we're really multiplying 32.12 times 1/2. We're trying to figure out what 1/2 of 32.12 is. And, well, half of 32 is 16, and then half of 0.12 is 0.06, so this makes complete sense.
All right. So he did a great job explaining it. And now we're going to go back to our lesson. Maybe, if I can figure this out. All right, so I'm going to have you take out a piece of paper, and I want you to do these problems on a separate sheet of paper. And you might be thinking, well, why are we doing this? It's just reinforcing the whole multiplication concept. You can either use the traditional, which Mr. Khan did, or you can use the partial products method, but I'm going to use the traditional method on 2 of them, and I'll use the partial products on 1. So write these down, turn off the video, and then when you're done, come back. All right, welcome back. So we're going to start with doing the traditional method, and here we go. We have 3 times 2 is 6, and even if you don't use the traditional method, I want you to get used to using this method, and just so concentrate and follow along. And then we have 3 times 4 is 12, and there aren't any more numbers on that line, so we're going to go to the next column. We're no longer multiplying by the ones, so we put a 0 here. We're multiplying by the tens. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 4 is 8. And then we're going to add them up. Whoopsie. 6 plus 0 is 6. 2 plus 4 is 6. And 1 plus 8 is 9. So your first answer is 966. The second one, I'm going to be using the partial products method. And for those that use the traditional, you can just follow along as well and make sure that I'm not making any mistakes with my multiplication facts. I have 1 times 5 is 5. And then we have 2 places after, so I'm going to put 2 zeros down. Then I have 1 times 7 is 7, and I have 1 place that I haven't looked at, so that's 7 and 1 0. Done with that. There aren't any more numbers. Then I have 3 times 5 is 15, and we're going to put 1 0 down. And then we have 3 times 7 is 21. And we're going to add them up. Ooh! Having little problems here. Add them up. We have 1, then we have 7 plus 5 is 12, 13, 14. Carry the 1. So we have 5, 6, 7, so 741. The last one, I'm going to switch back to traditional. I have 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 6 times 6 is 36 plus 1 is 37. No longer multiplying by the ones, so I'm going to put a 0 there. 7 times 3 is 21. And I'm going to put the 2 up here, and I'm going to cross off that because I've already used that 1. And then I have 7 times 6 is 42, plus 2 is 44, and then I'm going to add them up. And tomorrow, if you didn't get the same answers I did, bring them in, and we will discuss it. We can see what went wrong, and it could be my error as well. So 8 plus 0 is 8, 7 plus 1 is 8, 3 plus 4 is 7, and a 4. So our final answer there is 4,788. So we're just going to solve this problem. Getting used to the decimals. Again, we haven't quite worked with those yet, but we're just getting a little review on multiplication. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry the 3. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. You should have gotten an answer of 232. So, this one was 58 times 4. This one is 58 hundredths times 4. So here we go. We're going to, I'm just going to flip ahead for a minute. Okay, so we're just going to take it step by step. So here it is, 58 hundredths times 4. Remember, remove the decimals. So I don't physically remove them, I just pretend they're not there. And you're going to multiply the digits normally. So we look at this, and they did 4 times 8 is 32, carry the 2, carry the 3. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23, and you're going to carry the 2. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2, so we have 232. Now I put this in already, but let's go to the next slide and look at it. So the step 3, in your answer, count the same number of digits starting from right to left and place it in the decimal. So they're just saying, how many numbers are after a decimal? Well, this is after the decimal, because here it is, and this is after a decimal. There isn't a decimal down here, so we have 1, 2 numbers after a decimal. So I'm going to count over here, 1 number, 2 numbers are after the decimal, and I put it in there. Okay? So let's try one more together. And remember, the same hints apply no matter how many decimals you have. First thing that you're going to do is you're going to pretend there aren't any decimals there. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 9 is 18. Carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. We're no longer multiplying by the 1, so I'm going to put a 0 right here. Then we have 7 times 3 is 21. Put the 2 down here, and the 2 up here. Put the 1 down here. 7 times 9 is 63, plus 2 is 65. Put the 5 here, and put the 6 up here. I've used this, so I'm just going to get rid of that. 0 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6. So I've done all the multiplying. I don't have to multiply everything by 0 because it's just going to be zeros. I add it up, and so we have 6, 9, 6, 6, and then I look, how many numbers are after a decimal? Well, there's 1 here, 1 here, so that's 1, 2, there's 3 numbers. There are 4 numbers total after a decimal point. So we start here and we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the decimal here. Are there 4 numbers after the decimal point? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So that should be fine. Now, I want you to write these problems in your notebook and solve them. And we will correct them tomorrow in class. If you get to a point where you have some confusion, just stop. But remember, just do it regular multiplying and then add in the decimals. So this one, there will be 4 numbers after the decimal point. This one, only 1. And this one, there should be 3. And if you have any questions, jot it down and we will talk about them tomorrow. And that's it for now. Bye.